Hello everyone, Johnny Hurricane here from GamersHeroes.com, and today we'll be going over the top 10 games that we are looking forward to in 2020. First rule, date needs to be set. Needs to have a trailer or at least a press release that says it's coming 2020. Sorry Breath of the Wild 2, you're out. Secondly, needs to be announced. I can assume all day that there could be a God of War or a Horizon 2 or the next Fable or even the next Metroid Prime, but without a trailer, I don't know. And we're not going to be cheeky here, not going to say, oh, I'm ready for the PS5 and Xbox X. Well, that's not a video game, that's a console. While we are excited for it, they are not on the list. Anyways, let's get started. Start this list off right, we went with Resident Evil 3 Remake, which was recently announced, but not really to anyone's surprise. We all knew it was coming, especially after the success of Resident Evil 2. Resident Evil 3 follows the story of Jill Valentine, one of the original STARS members who is chased through the city by a Mr. X-esque type of character called Nemesis. For those of you that don't know, Nemesis is actually the original pursuer. Resident Evil 2's Mr. X was not nearly as prominent in the original game, at least. Best part about this remake is that it is hitting in April. It's hitting before Cyberpunk and after the onslaught of March games, which puts it in a very good spot. I'm looking forward to going back to Raccoon City because in Resident Evil 2 Remake, you didn't see a ton of the city, but in Resident Evil 3 Remake, it looks like you're going to be exploring it quite a bit. My biggest worry here is that Mercenaries is going to be replaced by that online mode, and we don't get Mercenaries. I really hope we do though. Coming in at number 9, we have a Nintendo Switch exclusive, Animal Crossing New Horizons. Admittedly, I am not the biggest Animal Crossing fan in the world, but I did enjoy the GameCube version of Animal Crossing a lot. Me and a few of my friends probably put a whole summer into that game, and I know there's a lot of you out there that put much more time than that. I really do enjoy building up like a house and a community up from nothing, even if the crafting system is a little basic to begin with. Not to mention you got the fishing, you got the bug catching, and of course you got the online portion where in theory I could go and steal all of your apples. Not that I would do that, but the point is you can if you wish to. It has been a while since we got the last console Animal Crossing, a legitimate Animal Crossing. I don't mean the other one, that weird Wii U one. But this one has high expectations. Nintendo has been knocking it out of the park lately though, so I have faith this Animal Crossing is going to be good and it's going to be fun. See you all on the beach. Number 8 is kind of a complete 180 from what Animal Crossing is, and that is Doom. After Doom 2016, I have faith in Doom again. One thing that Doom has to nail, and the last Doom nailed, was making you feel like a badass, almost like a rock star. You get these awesome arsenal of weapons, awesome skills, and a chainsaw. That's right. If you got a chainsaw in a game, you got me paying attention. It's nothing quite like blasting one of the big demons up and then putting your saw right through their gut and watching their guts spill out. Makes you feel good, makes you feel powerful. Doom Eternal is bringing new weapons and a sword to the fight. So not only are you going to be ripping people apart with a chainsaw, you're going to have a sword, and you better believe there's going to be some limb removal with that. You don't even have to feel bad because you are killing demons that are invading to kill you. So it's going to feel great, it's going to have fantastic weapons, a wonderful arsenal of upgrades and skills to acquire, and of course, secrets. Every good Doom game has good secrets. There is one little problem, and that is that it releases in March, alongside like 6 other games. I just feel like it might get a little bit buried, so I'm mentioning it here. Don't forget about Doom Eternal in March. And while we're on the subject of March games, why don't we bring up our number 7 game, Nioh 2. Nioh 2 recently had an open beta on the PS4 where players could try the game out for roughly a week. I had a great time with it. My cousin played it, he had a great time with it. A couple other guys I know played it and had a great time with it. If you liked Nioh 1, you're gonna like Nioh 2. If you didn't like Nioh 1, don't bother with Nioh 2. They didn't change that much. The combat felt fluid and responsive. The new weapons and skills allowed for new tactics in battle. I really liked the yokai summon skill, basically where you kill a yokai, take their soul, and equip that soul to you, allowing you to use an ability brought to you by that yokai. There's a lot of different ones. I think in the beta I had 12 to 15, and that was like 4 levels. That's it. You can also now summon an AI partner if you are having trouble with a battle. This does not make the game easier. Yeah, you might get to the boss quicker and easier, but it does not change the fact that the boss is going to whoop you if you don't know what you're doing. If you like Soulsborne's game and you like a little bit of faster combat, Nioh 2 might be a good one for you to check out. And let's just assume they're going to have another beta before the game comes out, so be sure to check that. Coming in at number 6, we have Dying Light 2. The original Dying Light came out at a time where zombie games were certainly oversaturated, and they certainly still are, don't get me wrong, but Dying Light, the original, managed to find itself in a spot where it was one of the better zombie games on the market. It managed to do that three main things really. The parkour element, which worked great. I loved zombie hopping off a zombie to a wall, running, jumping, sliding. It worked very well, which is not something you can always say about a platforming game. Secondly, melee combat. That was something that also worked really well, but also felt good. I'm talking like when you had a pipe and you hit it against the zombie skull, the skull would crack. It would do that like slow down thing where it's like, ooh, boom, and smack him in the head. That felt good. Similar with a melee weapon that was a knife or a machete or a sword, whatever it was, slice off pieces of them, and that made you feel good as well. Top it all off, you could mod your weapons, electricity, fire, all sorts of different elements. I didn't really care much for the guns, but the melee weapons and the melee combat, 2 thumbs up. Lastly, this is probably the most important, co-op. I do not remember much about the story, but what I do remember is running around at nighttime in Dying Light with those volatile zombies chasing after you, screaming at you, and me and my buddies losing our minds. Like I said, I don't remember much of the story from the original Dying Light, but from what I've seen of Dying Light 2, the story is going to be a lot more important, and your choices are actually going to make a difference. That is a big thing for me. I hate when you have the illusion of choice. You make a choice, it's like, oh, I saved that guy, but you didn't because then he dies in a cutscene. Hopefully that does not happen. And while we don't have an official release date outside of summer 2020, what I saw of it at E3 last year looked good to go. So I think this one is definitely hitting in 2020. For number 5, we're going to be going with Ghost of Tsushima, which just recently got a summer of 2020 release date. For those of you that are unaware, Sucker Punch is making the game, and they did all the infamous games. 1, 2, Festival of Blood, Second Son, and of course Last Light. So they know how to make a fairly decent open world game, though they have never been very large. This game looks a lot like an old school Assassin's Creed game, one of those more stealthy assassination type ones, or actually, you know what might be better, an old school Tenchu game, which we haven't seen in a while. And it does look like it will be an open world where you're using your ninja techniques like smoke bombs, stealth, and of course your sword to take out enemies. Also seems like your horse is going to be a fairly important piece of equipment for you. It looks like there's going to be a lot of jumping off of that and killing opponents before they can react. My big question right now is how is the melee combat going to go? Assassinations generally work really well in all of these games, but the melee combat in Infamous it worked, but it left much to be desired. I'm hoping for a little bit more depth to it, especially with the sword combat, and maybe a bit more intensity in the battles. Still, I do like the idea of Sucker Punch basically completely switching genre, going from a sort of a superhero-ish power game to this old school ninja assassin game. Still, we don't gotta wait long for it. We'll see it in summer 2020. I would guess we get our release date at E3. For number 4, we are going to be going with Halo Infinite. Halo is a game that I have fallen off of. Played 1, 2, 3 and Reach, did not play 4 or 5, and now I'm back in. Halo Infinite is bringing me back in. What I'm saying is, this is your chance to get me invested in Halo again, a guy who left the Halo series. The original Halo Combat Evolved is a game that I remember fairly fondly, and it is because of the world building that it had. Not necessarily characters. Yeah, Cortana and Chief, you remember who they are, but I remember the world. I remember the second level. You land on the Halo ring, the ship just blew up, you're all alone outside of Cortana and a few Marines that have dropped down around you, and you're getting to go check out this Halo ring. You got a Warthog, eventually you come back, there's a tank, and there's ghosts, and there's I can't remember what the flying thing is called at the moment, but everything was there. This whole big Halo ring felt like an actual big world. And I think Halo has lost that as it has gone further and further. Infinite needs to correct that. And I think this is the opportunity to do that. Get me invested in the world, not just the characters, because this is the big problem you have. You get rid of Master Chief and Halo just goes downhill. So you need to have me invested in the entirety of the world, not just a single character. Now this is meant to launch when the Xbox X launches. It's supposed to be a launch title, which will be holiday 2020. And this is it. You got a shot to bring me back. Don't mess up. Next game we're going to talk about for our number 3 pick is The Last of Us 2. From what we've seen of The Last of Us 2, there seems to be some sort of rift that has formed between Ellie and Joel. I just got done talking about how Halo needs to bring me back. what they've shown of The Last of Us 2 already has me convinced that I'm going to enjoy the story of this game. And yes, I know what happened at the original The Last of Us, so I know I'm not spoiling it, but I know what happened, so I know why the rift is there. One of my larger complaints about the game in general was the combat. I didn't feel that it was, how do I put it? The rest of the game was great, and the combat didn't feel good. I didn't really like it as much. I did enjoy the melee, but again, it was like, it was tolerable, right? You just press square and you kind of auto aim into people. This game looks a lot more involved. The combat looks a lot more involved. It looks like you'll be dodging and then striking and then potentially striking certain limbs in certain areas of people. And on top of that, the original game was very brutal and very gruesome, but this game looks even worse. Like, it's going to take the apocalypse to the next level. I am hoping that this is a bit of a more open world, and from what they've shown, it looks like that, but that could just be some tricky trailer work. The original Last of Us had its open sections, but it wasn't super open world. I'm hoping that like you're actually going to interact in town, and maybe you can buy some stuff and sell some stuff, do some side quests, things like that. I'd like a little bit more RPG in the game. Still, if it's not, I'm not going to complain that much. I am looking forward to this game. The only downside is that we're not getting multiplayer, and I really did enjoy that multiplayer with the camp system in the original game. I put like 2 weeks into that. Kind of sucks that it's not coming to 2. For our second pick, and for a lot of people, I imagine this is actually your first pick, we're going with Final Fantasy VII Remake. Announced way back in 2015, this, man, I don't even remember any rumors about this. This seemed to come out of nowhere. But everyone, if you were in that crowd or if you were watching, it was electric. That was a moment, if you were there, no one is ever going to forget. Still, with all that hype, heartache quickly followed as we learned that it is an episodic game. Episodic is not something you want in any video game. We weren't really sure, the details were a little sparse. Now we know that we're going to be playing through Midgar. The combat has been changed, but the game still looks great. And if we get to explore Midgar on a different level, on a more extreme level, get to see different parts of the town, different buildings, interact with different people, I'm okay with that. If I get to get more lore of the game, that's cool by me. If it's just going to be the same stuff, but it looks better, yeah, then we're going to be a little peeved. The most important thing here is if they remove, and we all know what I'm talking about, if they remove a couple of key things, there are going to be some problems. They need to keep as much of the original as they can while adding additional stuff and not mess up what they already put in. There is a lot riding on this. I know they know it. This is why they waited so long to do it. But still, this comes in at number 2, and we've only got to wait like 3 more months to play it. And coming in at number 1, I'm sure you would have guessed this one by now, Cyberpunk 2077. I'm a big Cyberpunk genre fan in general. I think that it doesn't get enough love, and I hope that this helps put it on the map. We're talking about a Witcher-sized, big open-world RPG set in a cyberpunk universe done by CD Projekt Red. Yeah, combat looks a little iffy. I'm going to give you all that. We'll see if it's got any weight to it ultimately. But the amount of customization options, skills, side quest areas, this game is going to set the new metric for RPGs, just like The Witcher 3 did in my opinion. My expectations are high, but I believe that these guys are going to meet them. I think this is the game that we are going to be talking about, not just for Game of the Year next year, but going forward, like, yeah, it was good, but it wasn't as good as Cyberpunk. I'm looking forward to being able to hack into other people's augments and basically mess with them. I'm also looking forward to augmenting myself. You've seen those cool blade arms and things like that. I want to get like a hand cannon like Vash the Stampede for Trigun. That's what I really want to get. Best part is, if you don't want to worry about combat, these games always have a ton of different options for you to play. I'm sure there's going to be a diplomatic no-kill run. There's going to be a hack and run. You can use robots to do your dirty work. I'm sure it's going to be anything you want. And of course, it has Keanu Reeves in it, which everyone seems to enjoy. This is another game that we don't have to wait long. We're only talking 4 months here. Buckle up, because the 2020 is going to be crazy. All right, that is going to do it for us. That is the top 10 games we're looking forward to in 2020. Leave us a comment, let us know what games you're looking forward to in 2020. And if you liked what you saw, got what you needed, like, comment, subscribe. See you guys in the next video. Later, Gators.